For your next project, we're going to be making a shaded layer drawing. There's a couple of requirements that you're going to have to include in the work to make sure you're going to be getting a good grade. First one is you have to choose one of these principles of design to show in your composition. So by the way you arrange your elements, you need to arrange them to show repetition, symmetrical balance, or asymmetrical balance. You're also going to be graded on how well you show the element of design value. There should be a gradation of values and a full range of values in the work. You're going to be graded on the element of design space. You're going to be manipulating values to achieve an illusion of depth in the work by the way you shade. You're also going to be graded on the element of design shape. Organic shapes should be drawn close to one another and are similar in design. And then you're also going to be graded on how well you use your chosen shading technique. So to complete this shading project, you can create it using hatching, cross-hatching, or scumbling. So whichever was your favorite shading technique that we learned last week, that's what you can use to complete this project. Before we begin, please remember that the elements of design are the things that make up an artwork, and how you arrange them creates different principles. Pull out those principle of design notes on Schoology, and we're going to fill in the information on symmetrical balance, asymmetrical balance, and repetition. Let's begin with balance. Balance is a way of combining elements to add a feeling of stability to an artwork. And there's two types of balance that you can choose for your principle. The first type is symmetrical. Symmetrical balance is very easy to see. It is when two halves of an artwork are identical or very similar. Then you have asymmetrical balance. That's when two sides of an artwork are not identical but differ from one another. Let's look at an example of what these two look like. So here we have an example of symmetrical balance. If you would draw a line through the center of this composition, you're going to notice that it's pretty much the same on either side. Now, if we would flip this over, we don't see a tail on this side, we see the fish. However, like it says up here, it's almost the same on both sides. Remember that the elements of design create the principle of design, and the way the elements are arranged creates various principles. To figure out what principle of design you're seeing, first try to look for the different elements of design. In this artwork, we're seeing horizontal line around the edges. So line is an element of design. We're also seeing shape, not forms. Shapes are two-dimensional, forms are three-dimensional. So these are pretty much two-dimensional shapes that we're seeing. We're also seeing value. We have a white light value and then the dark black value. So there's two different values in here that we're seeing. Because they're keeping the lines the same on this side and that side, because the shapes are almost the same on one side to the other, and as well as the values are the same on one side to the other, this makes it symmetrically balanced. Same thing here. If we would draw a line through the middle, the color is the same on both sides of the composition. The texture of the brushstrokes is the same. He is a form. He's three-dimensional. We have a full range of value. And because the values are fairly similar on both sides, the form is the same on both sides, this makes it symmetrical. Asymmetrical balance shows more elements on one side of the composition than the other, or like a different arrangement of elements. If we would draw a line through the center of both of these, you're going to see that there's more elements on this side than that side. Same thing here. We have a form of the castle, really no forms over there, so it's unbalanced, making it asymmetrical. The last principle of design that you can use for this project is fairly easy, and that is repetition. Repetition just refers to elements being repeated in an artwork. The artwork on the left is Marilyn Monroe, and that was created by Andy Warhol, who is an artist that is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We have many elements that are being repeated throughout the work. We have this square shape that's being repeated 9 times. We have the shape of Marilyn Monroe's head that's being repeated. We also have intense colors that are being repeated through every square. So because of those three elements of design being repeated in the same way, we have repetition. The sculpture on the right shows forms, three-dimensional rectangles that are stacked on top of one another. We're also seeing the same amount of space between the forms repeated. The same color is repeated, as well as the same value of that color is repeated throughout the work. So because those same elements are repeating, then we have repetition. Today, when you are designing your thumbnails, you're going to want to make sure that every composition sketch that you create shows either asymmetrical balance, symmetrical balance, or repetition. Excuse my face in this picture, but I do want to make note that there are a couple changes from the video you're going to have to watch today. In the video, I say that there's a minimum requirement of 4 layers. I am changing it to 2 layers. So you're not doing 4, you're going to do 2. Additionally, I've also explained how you could do a bonus by adding more layers in. In the video, I talked that you can go up to like 12 or 14 layers. I am not allowing this anymore because it's difficult to add in more than the 4 layers that I've originally prepared for this project. So please ignore this portion of this video. Okay, you're going to want to watch the video all the way till 5 minutes and 5 seconds. Now that we've heard those couple adjustments and what you have to include in the project, please watch the second video that explains a little bit more about the project and how to begin making your thumbnail sketches.